What's your name?
I'm Clementine.
Telltale Games' The Walking Dead stormed the gaming world last year by really doing just one thing very well. It had great characters. The story that surrounded those characters was also good, but that's a byproduct of having well-developed, three-dimensional personalities in a narrative. They make interesting things happen. The element that the game really nailed was putting players into the role of Lee, the protagonist, and creating a relationship with Clementine, a young girl who wound up being Lee's ward in the zombie apocalypse. We taught Clementine, we protected her, and we grew with her. The Walking Dead Season 2, the continuation of last year's story, is doing something very interesting with that foundation. It's giving players control of Clementine. That's a loaded move on Telltale's part, and it changes drastically how we play the game in the newly released first episode of Season 2, All That Remains. Depending on how Telltale handles the rest of Season 2, the developer could create something very special in terms of how players relate to player characters and what it means to play a character. When we talk about protagonist characters, we're mostly talking about avatars. If you bring up characters like Gordon Freeman or Link, they're less actual people and more conduits for players to be inserted into the game world. There are characters that are more fleshed out, but are still just player stand-ins, like Commander Shepard, or characters that you just puppet, like Marcus Phoenix. You can't change who they are, but you can change what they do. The Walking Dead's Lee was more Commander Shepard than Marcus Phoenix. Lee had a backstory and a family, but largely his personality and how he related to other people was determined by players. What and how he taught Clementine was left up to the player in many cases. It's easy to think of Lee as you, because you helped shape him as a person through the course of the game. But Clementine is completely different.
I don't mean to be any trouble. I just want to stop the bleeding and then I'll go. You'll never see me again, I promise.
And where exactly would you go?
To find my friend Krista.
Clementine is a character who existed independent of what players bring to her. After playing Season 1 of The Walking Dead, we know what Clementine is like, what kind of person she is, how she reacts to certain things, what she values or doesn't. Clementine has an identity that's not the one players give her, at least theoretically, and that makes things very interesting. A few days ago, my colleague Mitchell Saltzman from Gamefront asked on Twitter something along the lines of, "Do you play Clementine as you or as Clementine?" That's an incredibly important question when it comes to what Season 2 will eventually become. Fundamentally, the player alters Clementine by playing as her. But what does that mean? Does that invalidate the education Lee, and therefore players, gave Clementine when he was her caretaker? Are we rendering those moments from Season 1 meaningless through our decision-making now? That's completely possible, and if that's the way Season 2 plays out, it would be akin to most video games and their player-character relationships. It would also be a big shame. But there are already other factors in place. Ingrained in most players of The Walking Dead will be that old relationship with Clementine, and with it, a desire to continue to protect her as we did before. And that will affect how we dictate what Clementine does to deal with other characters. We may try to protect her again, but is that how Clementine would act? Other subtleties exist in the dialogue. The choices of what to say as Clementine are similar to what they were as Lee, but immediately I got the sense that, qualitatively, the choices are not the same. Players don't have the same blanks they did with Lee to fill in about how Clementine should respond to another character. What it seems like we have are Clementine answers. Dialogue choices that fall in line with Clementine's personality, even though they allow us to make choices.
We're friends, right? We can be best friends. I haven't met another girl my age since way before. It's hard to be the only girl, you know? Rebecca's okay, but she's old. And that's it. Yes, we are friends. Promise? It's important. Friends have to trust each other, no matter what. Do you promise or not? I promise. Me too. Friends. A pinky swears forever.
So in that respect, maybe we're not playing as Clementine at all. Maybe we're playing as something else. Maybe the player's real role in The Walking Dead Season 2 is not to be Clementine, but to continue to be Lee, or more aptly, Lee's influence on Clementine. Just how Telltale handles Clementine in the rest of Season 2 has the potential to be very compelling. This is a chance to fundamentally alter how players and player characters are dealt with in video games, because of the unique instance of players taking control of a fully formed character with whom we all have a history. That dynamic offers Telltale a chance to examine how players interact with narratives. It's a chance to turn Clementine into more than just an extension of ourselves, while also changing how we enter and interact with game worlds. I can't wait to see how the game deals with those possibilities in the next 4 episodes. I'm Phil Hornshaw, and you can catch more of my work on games and games journalism here or at Gamefront.com. Let me know what you think of The Walking Dead Season 2 in the comments, and if you like what you're seeing here, hit the subscribe button so I can keep it up. Thanks for watching, see you next time.